Hey, Randy Hunter here from beginningsax.com and randyhunterjazz.vhx.tv. Visit me at those sites for all kinds of jazz improv and beginning sax lessons. When I think of great sax players, names come to mind like Lester Young, Coleman Hawkins, Ben Webster, Dexter Gordon, Sonny Stitt, Charlie Parker. The list goes on and on. You know, alto players like Cannonball, and even more popular players like Red Prysock and King Curtis. Now, when I say popular, I'm not really talking about the smooth jazz players of today, but I'm talking about kind of the classic sax players. Now, one thing that all of these great players have in common is that they're masters of the blues. And I know that folks really love learning about the blues. So what I wanted to do is put together a series on the great jazz blues motifs. Now, if you're not sure what a motif is generally considered a short, brief, melodic statement. Now, motifs can be performed, just a short, brief motif can be performed and then repeated in a call and response type style. But motifs can also be performed and then developed. So what I thought I'd do is locate some motifs from some of these great players, blues motifs, great players, thus great jazz blues motifs, and kind of just take a quick look at how they're played and maybe some possibilities for using them in your solos. Now, often a motif is played at the beginning of a chorus. Now, you'll find some variation in this. Sometimes some players will play a motif at the beginning of every chorus and then develop it or call and response or whatever, and it'll be the theme of the chorus. Other times a motif, like a Coltrane motif, might be stated and then developed rather rapidly and and it'll take its own journey there. So anyway, let's get started with our first motif. Now, here's the thing. I'm not putting these in any kind of sequential order, so I can't say that number one is the greatest motif of all time, or I don't know how many will end up being in this series over time. Maybe there'll be 50. I don't know. Maybe there'll be 100. It just depends on what kind of response I get from folks. So I'm not really putting them in any kind of sequential order as far as this is the greatest motif of all time, because, that's often our personal taste that tells us which ones are our favorites. So anyway, these will give you some ideas, maybe some motifs that you'll choose to incorporate in your practice and in your solos. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe they'll give you some ideas of how motifs are constructed anyway. All right, so now let's get started. So our first lick comes from a Sunnyland Slim tune, and it's by King Curtis, and it's about 2.5 minutes into the song called Decoration Day. So hopefully you'll be able to find this. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not. A friend of mine who convinced me to do this series, Mike is his name, he turned me on to this tune, and so I'm really digging it, and thought it would be a great one to start our series off with. Now, the blues is in the key of A on tenor, and if you do it on alto, I'd still do it in A on alto, so it'd be C concert. If you've got a blues play along you want to play along with and you're using alto, it'd be G concert. If you've got a blues play along you want to use and you're playing on tenor. Now, the lick, it's very singable. Do-do-do-da, do-do-do-da. Man, what a great lick. And that's one of the things I think that really makes a blues lick a motif so effective is its singability. So if we've got a singable motif, then that just lends itself naturally to like a vocal kind of call and response. Now, this lick, remember we're in A on the saxophone, so we're playing an A blues, and it starts on the 6. It starts on the F sharp, A, B, A. there's our motif right there. It's just a 4-note motif. F sharp, A, B, A. Then he restates it. He puts a little pickup into it. You know, just a little fall down to it. And he plays it 3 times. 3 times. And then he goes right to the heart of the blues. He goes up to the major 3 and walks up C sharp, D, and then kind of gets in between the 5, the flat 5 and the 5. So he goes kind of like to an E flat and kind of smears it with a combination of the throat and fingerings. And then a real classic blues scale line coming down. So really, that's really the response. We've got the call, the call, the call, motif, 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 and response. And we end up with a nice, what is that, 2-bar, 4-bar lick? I'd have to do the math for a minute. I know what it feels like to play it. So, so again, the lick. You know, and the time has a little bit of flexibility when it gets up around that E flat to the E, the flat 5 to the 5. You know, you're not sitting there counting triple it. You know, I know I've got it written out for you, but he stretches the time out a little bit, and that's characteristic of a lot of these little blues licks that you'll run into. So, you know, we're not going to do anything else with this other than there's the lick. Take it and learn it. Learn what it sounds like. Learn what it feels like, and maybe incorporate it in your playing. All right? Talk to you soon. And hey, you know, I almost forgot. I wanted to remind you, you can get my lessons, my jazz improv and beginning sax lessons at beginningsax.com, or you can subscribe for full access to all of my lessons at a low monthly rate at randyhunterjazz.vhx.tv. Hope you'll sign up.